Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Black Girl Brunch. My name is Iman.
And I'm Sabria.
And welcome on in to another fun-filled episode. How are you?
I'm good. Good afternoon, Rattlesnake County.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It was just on my mind.
Rattlesnake. Good afternoon,
County.
Rattlesnake County. She said what she said. Today is such a beautiful day. Like, I'm very happy with the weather, the sun.
Yeah, the weather is really nice. I went outside in the backyard this morning and I was like, it's really nice. I almost took a nap outside, but it was flies and like, I really hate flies.
Yo,
Wish they all die.
These bugs this summer have been tearing me up. So I don't know if I told you this, Sabrina. I mean, you do know about the fact that I had really bad like food poisoning last week. No fun, but that happened. But I started realizing there was like this really big bite on my neck, like the next day, and I'm like, wait a minute, did something bite me and cause me to throw up? Some type of spider. I'm like, bro, being outside and living like near all these trees and stuff the way that I do, I think something bit me and literally made me weak.
Yeah, that's wild because I'm like, what would you get sick from? Like, it just.
I'm like, and also it was like an instant thing. I was sitting there and it felt like something like happened, and I'm like, oh, did I get like bit by something crazy?
Ooh, Spider-Man.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, please, let some type of powers kick in. I could use it. Yeah.
It was like, that was not natural. Sorry, y'all.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling cool. I gotta wash clothes after this. Somebody was like, going to the gym is really just having a bunch of laundry, and that's so true because
really is.
I gotta wash my work clothes and my gym clothes. So I gotta wash clothes after this. I got new pillows. I'm gonna wash my pillows.
Yeah.
What else? I'm just gonna wash a bunch of stuff, and then I'm gonna watch an episode of The Bear. I don't know if I said this on here, but I can only watch one episode of The Bear a day because I just don't want to ruin. Like, I don't want my morale to go down. So yes, they uploaded all, like, I think it's 10 episodes of the season, but I do not binge watch The Bear. I binge watched it before, and it definitely made me feel like everybody sucks. But I'm not binge watching it this time. I'm doing one episode a day. So I'm gonna watch my episode of the day today while I get my clothes and stuff together. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, you know me. I always got a book with me, and I'm going to. I finally got the final boss, the scary one, All About Love. Shout out to my coworker who knew I wanted it, and I love used books, and he got it from the used bookstore, which is like, yay!
That's amazing. You could start a library, like a bookshelf with a whole nice little library. That'd be so cool.
Right. That's what I want to do when I finally move, and so yeah, I read the preface already, and I'm just gonna try to read one chapter, read chapter 1, and then so that's that.
I love that for you. That's lovely. When I tell you that's just lovely, I'm just so proud of you for like leaning into like reading in the way that you are. Like, it's been an escape for me. It's an escape for you. It's such a healthy coping mechanism. Not to like act like you're a mother, but like I'm just proud of you in general. Like, you're doing so good at the gym. Like, you're just killing it with just the positive energy.
Thank
being
you.
laser focused, staying in your own lane, being very positive without being like puke, you know. So I love it. It's just,
Thank you.
it radiates, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It literally radiates.
I'm trying, like, 'cause you know, society is like literally crumbling, but like, I'm trying my best to be positive, radiate positivity. Also, that's one of the like things at my job, like radiating positivity. Also, I got a promotion, like, funny.
That's what I'm saying. It's just the growth, let's toast for a sis, like right now. Everybody,
the
please.
funny thing about that
Flood
is,
Sabria DMs.
so the funny thing about that is, so we were talking about the workday tree last week and how we love workday because workday has the tea. The workday had the tea on me, and I didn't even know because I didn't look at my notifications, and my coworker came and was like, Saria, why didn't you tell me that, like, you got a promotion? I'm like, I didn't know. I was working for 2 days with the promotion. Had no clue because I didn't check my work
They had updated. So yeah, y'all.
Check
look
your
at
work day notifications. Check that bell. The notifications. I did not check it. Also, I was not checking it because we had to do the you know, when it's time to do that appraisal thing, you got to write about yourself. So I was like kind of avoiding my
work
notifications. Day. Yeah, but I did it. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I got a promotion, and I didn't even know, which is hilarious. But
congratulations,
yeah.
well deserved. Well deserved.
It's funny because like I got promoted in my last job. I'm like, one thing about me, I do be working.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like your second promotion.
I really be working. That's one thing about me. Yeah.
Period. We climbing. We grinding.
But yeah, what are you doing after this? Because you already got your shopping. You got your shopping, your meal. Wait, you ain't prepped your meals yet?
No, I haven't prepped my meals yet. So I woke up on crack. Like, I woke up like, gotta get it done. Like, that's just how, and I love those moods because I haven't been having them lately. I have been very much like laying in bed until the last minute, scarfing something down to eat, and then doing a podcast. But like, I think I just had such a rough week that I was able to like feel my feelings and then move forward with like being, you know, getting back to me, being positive. So like I woke up, I was like, okay, cool. We are going to cook some breakfast at home. We're not ordering anything. So I like made coffee. I made parfaits. I made like a little protein and green situation for myself. I made the guy who lives with me a little omelet. You know, like I just really did it. Then we sat on our balcony. We had breakfast. We took a walk. We went for a walk. We got some groceries for dinner. And I'm gonna meal prep. I was just telling Sabria, like, I really want to get myself in, you know, a healthier mindset. Like some of my numbers, I wasn't happy with them from like just basic health stuff. Nothing's crazy, y'all. Don't be afraid for me. But I just want to like, you know, get back to like my healthiest self. And I think for me that requires a lot of cutting out outside stuff. I've been talking to a bunch of friends who've been meal prepping, and it's inspired me. So I was like, I'm wasteful, but I know I need to meal prep. So let me just try on Sundays prepping until Wednesday. Because if I know if I eat something 2 days in a row, one, if it make it to 2 days in a row, I will be tired of it. So it's like, let me just try it. Let me try this. So I'm excited to meal prep. Of course, folding clothes every Sunday. I gotta fold clothes. And then I actually have some work to do. So if I do have some juice, I will try to get a head start on tomorrow's work, which is not like me, y'all. Trust me, I do not believe in working on weekends. But it's my busy season, and like I can't get anything done during the week because it's like 18 million meetings. So I'm like, if I could, you know, do some things on the side, that'd be great. But most importantly, I'm gonna watch House of the Dragons. That's my shit. That's my shit.
And I'm gonna catch up, y'all. I tried, like, I was watching it, but then I stopped at episode 6. Then I tried to jump back in, and I'm like, no, like, I need to go back. Like, I feel like I need to just go back. So I will definitely jump on that because both of my shows are gone. The Boys ended. Interview with the Vampire ended. So, and I'm almost done, I won't say Top Chef, no. I'm almost done The Bear, so I'm going to have nothing to really watch. Oh, there is 2 new shows that I do need to watch. They're, like, animated shows. But, yeah, so I'm about to be done with my show, so I'm like, all right, then I can definitely watch, you know, the Dragon people.
I can't wait till you catch up because I have nobody to talk to about this show, and I think it would be great to bring some of the themes, especially as it relates to women and our respect. That's what the show does a lot. It covers that a lot of those themes I would love to talk about in the show, but we're patient. We'll wait for you to catch up. So yeah, that's my that is my Sunday. And yeah, let's get into Fave 4, shall we? So there's going to be a theme for today's show.
Education for free with Education Connection.
It used to be my shit. Oh my God. But yeah, it's going to be about information, education, empowering yourself to double check And also just making peace with the fact that nobody is an expert on everything. We have to continuously learn and check our sources, lean into reliable resources, and know what you're talking about. Don't be confident just saying anything in this world and sounding stupid. I'm just gonna say it because that's what a lot of people sound. They sound dumb.
And they be proud of it, which is like crazy, like
loud
what?
and wrong and proud. And I'm like, this is just okay.
Yeah, like when SpongeBob was like, "I'm ugly and I'm proud." Like people really be like, "I'm misinformed and I'm proud." And
Yeah.
like what?
And I don't care what you say. I still believe this.
Like what? So what inspired this? So a couple of things inspired this. Like with again with like social media misinformation, and somebody sent. So I just made a tweet about this, and somebody sent me a link to a Substack. And I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to read this. Let's listen to it. So the Substack, the
What is a Substack?
So people write on there. Like, I don't want to. Is it okay? Like, let me know if you write Substack. Is it okay to say like it's a blog? Like, people write and publish like articles on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to start one, but like I didn't really have anything girthy to write about. But yeah. So this is the title of it. It says, "You've been traumatized into hating reading, and it makes you easier to oppress." This is by Ismatu Gwendolyn. I'm like, this is great. This is exactly this is so true. And like, sorry to bring up this quote, maybe it's problematic, but I remember when I was a kid, my dad told me about this quote, and it said, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. And that was like,
damn.
And I don't know who said that, and I know it's very problematic, but I'm like, when I heard that, like as a kid, I was like, oh, I made sure that knowledge was going to be at the top of like, that made me feel like I need to always be knowledgeable.
Yeah, and I think there's 100% truth to that quote from your dad, but I think if you want to hide shit from people,
yeah, that's people.
Obviously,
it's
like we know
people.
now, like it's broader, because I'm like, the Trump supporters,
yeah,
they are
definitely.
like the perfect example of people who just are misinformed and proud, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like reading like has like, because I always was into reading, but like mainly like comic books and stuff, and a lot of comic books borrow things from, like, if there's topics of war, it's definitely inspired by like real life things, but it's definitely important to read nonfiction, which is like what I'm getting into now, even like more heavily, especially because if it's written by people who study these topics, they have a better idea on certain things. Like, I'm really I have a hard time with sorry, I'm gonna jump into the fade forward, but I have a hard time with like sorry, I don't know I always forget how to pronounce this word, abolitionists. So when people are like, no prisons and stuff like that, that is like such a hard, like, as somebody who definitely believes in like freedom and like the and like in bettering people, like abolitionists, like that is a very hard topic for me, because like think, but the thing is, it's
abolish slavery. There's no way we can function with slavery, but
it's
abolish prison industrial industry.
Like,
yes,
that's what.
But
it
abolish
is.
prisons. It's like, well, where do Ted Bundy go then? You gonna hold him in your house?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like certain things that like need to be done. Like, for instance, like how the prison system runs right now is inhumane, so it needs to be restructured.
And it's
like,
system.
Again,
system always requires what? Inmates. It requires people to consistently be locked up. It's not reform. It's
also,
not.
I always have a book on my bed, so yeah. I was reading this book. I always have a book on my bed. So Angela Davis' "Freedom is a Constant Struggle," which talks about Ferguson, Palestine, and the foundations of a movement. So this really, I read something in here and it was about the prison system, and I said, ooh, it struck me like, ooh, but I'm like, this is a woman who's done her research. She knows, actually, boots on the ground, been in the field. Who's a student
and an educator.
Exactly. So I'm like, this is somebody you need to listen to. So, who's definitely read a book, wrote a book, okay? So, our Fave 4 is going to be 4 topics that we want to, like, know more about, being like better versed in. So my fave for number one is going to be art history. So
Mm-hmm.
I love art, and like I love like I think that where art is going, like if you don't look at things from like a mainstream scope, like the things that are happening in art right now are truly amazing. And it's amazing and exciting. Um and I want to get to know, I mean, I want to know more about art history, like why people do things the way that they do, why American art looks this way, why does
Mm-hmm.
European art look this way, what, like, what inspires certain artists. Like, I just want to get like deeper into art history. um the next one is film and TV history. So I went to school for film and TV for my bachelor's, and like I'm flirting with the idea of grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that, shout out to Iman for always saying that, like, school isn't about like, oh, what you can get the most money in. It's really about like education, like learning
Really,
what you want
that
to
was the
know, and
original
like
purpose of going to
exactly, and that
school.
made
Yeah.
me feel so much better about having my bachelor's in fine arts. And I'm like, you know what? I'll get an MFA, like a master's in fine arts. Like, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to go to school for like health and like something that I know that can like garner me more money. So I really want to know more about film and TV history. Like, when was there like trends in TV? Like, for instance, how like the '90s, when you look back at TV, like it was relatively like very like black, like TV, and then we had a moment where it's like that disappeared, and it's like, what happened? So like,
Yeah,
I want to
Issa Rae
know.
was talking about that, like globalization
Yeah,
happened.
like
Yeah.
I want to know more about that. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like um like how they did special effects things like in the 30s. Like, there's some things that I know, but I want to have like a deeper knowledge of like how TV and film worked in eras where the technology wasn't like
It's
a
always a
world.
snapshot of the era. It's
Yeah,
always a snapshot of the
yep.
era. So I feel like in a way, like art history is also world history
Yes,
because it's a
yes.
reflection. Everything is a reflection
Mhm.
of what was going on.
Mhm.
Like even the makeup people used was based on what was legal. Like how many
Yep.
times do we hear about like oh my gosh, I'm watching this docu series. I will find it, but it's on this Irish Catholic family that had 12 kids, and 6 out of the 12 kids had schizophrenia.
Yes, I wanted to watch that.
Child is amazing. I can't finish. I can't wait to finish watching it. I won't spoil anything for you, but like watching this reflects what mental health services was like in the 60s. It was
Mm.
terrible. It
Oh, I
was
can only imagine.
terrible. So it's like, okay, like art back then might reflect the chaos that was
Yeah,
happening like in the 60s,
yeah.
like the way what they did to people who wanted abortion, who wanted to be, who identified as being gay, who were in interracial relationships, who had mental illness. That being different led to trauma back then.
Mhm.
So like obviously the art was going to reflect that, the advertising was going to reflect that. So it is
Yes.
important to know
That's
like
why
all
I
that history.
really that's why I really loved Mad Men. Because
Yep, they
getting
showed that ugly side,
yes,
not the fantasy.
yes, of advertising like in the 60s, and like also like how think, like, for instance, I love Adult Swim. Like, when I was one of those kids who like would stay up late and sneak and watch Adult Swim and watch all those like wacky ass like cartoons, like adult cartoons and shit like that. And like, so I always think about how like the people who made those cartoons, like Xavier Renegade Angel, or like Metalocalypse, or like what's another, like Moral Oral, or like Robot Chicken, like
Mm-hmm.
those people. So obviously they were older than me, so those people were like boomers, Gen X, and like
Yeah.
they influenced like my generation. So they influenced like millennials, zillennials, Gen Z. Like, they influenced us, and then like now we're making art that's like influenced by what
Mm-hmm.
they did. But it's like, then it's like, what happened? Because that generation, now that they're older, like some of them have gotten super conservative, and it's like they don't even reflect the work that they made, and then they're like, oh, this generation is out of control. You're out of control. You're disrespectful. But it's like we're inspired by the stuff that y'all did when you were our age or
the
younger.
chicken shit
So,
content that you put out
yeah,
there that we
so
consume.
exactly. So like, and like I love looking at like the Instagrams of like people, particularly my age, and seeing like now that they're doing things. I'm like, I can totally see who you were inspired by. I know exactly the pockets of the internet that you were in
I know what
when you
shows
were a
you
kid.
watch.
I know what
Yeah.
show, because I was looking at. I'm like, I was so mad at like my mutuals who did not tell me about this comedian. So I was looking at. I was looking. It's so weird how one thing leads you to the next. So there's a comedian. Her name is Sarah Sherman, and she's on SNL now, and she's obsessed with clowns. Like she literally she dresses like a clown. She is always like on Saturday Night Live. She does the skits with like heavy special effects makeup. She's obsessed with like eyeballs, like really weird things. And like when I look at her, and she was born in '93, so she's a year younger than me. And like when I look at her work, I know exactly the people that she was inspired by, like on MySpace or like on like shows. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting to watch somebody who like was inspired by these things like make art now and like be loud about it. It's just really exciting. So that's why I would like to know more about like art history and film and TV history. The third thing is archiving. So
Wait, was that your first thing, right?
no, art history. It was art history, and then it was film and TV history.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure. I
That's
didn't miss
okay.
something. Okay.
So the third thing is archiving. So as a child of Tumblr, archiving, that's the only reason why I still have my Tumblr page up. Archiving is so important. It is like a timestamp of like what happened, like what was going on in fashion during that time, how was people talking that time, what was popular in that time. Like I love like history and like pop culture, and archiving is like how inspiration and pulling inspiration again is like so important, and being able to pinpoint like this is who I was inspired by. Like I feel like those things are very important, and like as a kid that was always like essential to me. Like I have like on Tumblr, like I have tags like Muse, and if you look at my Muse tag, it's like Charlie XCX and Zendaya, and like it's crazy looking, like they weren't even at their best at that moment, and like looking at them now, I'm like that's exactly why they were in my Muse tag, because like they were like working on becoming these great, like the greatness that they are right now. And I feel like people are like, archiving was so strong on Tumblr. Like people used to put the date, the photographer who took the photo, like what the season it was, like if it was clothes. But people don't do that now. They just post a picture, and it's like, where is this from? Like, what is the source? How do I know, like, who made this? Like, who can I draw? Who can I say I'm drawing inspiration from?
Right. Right.
Like I was
remember, you know that page Fly Famous Black Girl? I feel like they're one
Yes.
of the very few pages these
because
days.
she came from Tumblr.
That makes sense. I was
She
gonna say
was
like
popular on
that.
Tumblr.
That is one of the pages where I'm like, okay, cool. I can spot like similarities with this certain photographer, or like what event were they at.
Yes.
Like I love knowing that. Like, okay, cool. This was taken at the 4040 Club back in '05, because that gives a feel. That gives
Yes.
a feel. A certain nostalgia, and just certain information and credit, you know?
Exactly. And I feel like people have like gotten super lazy about it, and like I don't know, maybe it's because I was like one of those kids who like always tried to like prepare for somebody interviewing me, and like I always was like, okay, I want to wear this, like I want to wear this McQueen from '05 fall, like pull that from the archives for me. Like I was like always thinking about like that. I just feel like people are just so comfortable with being like just seeing a picture and not knowing like the story behind it. It's like really like, it's kind of sad. Like it was so fun like seeing like, oh, this is what they were wearing the year I was born. This is what Givenchy looked like the year I was born. Like, that's so exciting. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like people are just like just pulling from the pictures, and they're just like, oh, like whatever. Like I was saying earlier off the mic with Iman, there was a picture. I think it was taken. I forgot who it was taken by, but it was somebody popular on Twitter. She did a PlayStation ad like in 2020, and it was made to look like the 90s, early 2000s PlayStation ads were like,
Mm-hmm.
which are super iconic. And our archive page posted that,
Mm-hmm.
like a retro 90s page, and that's not a picture from the 90s. Like, that is a picture from 2020, and that's kind of worrisome because it's like, what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah,
Like,
especially right now when everybody is kind of tapped into being a 90s beauty and Y2K fashion and like those scenarios like it's 1984, I'm waiting for my husband on TikTok. Like people are very obsessed with like nostalgia right now. So we
yeah,
have the tools to make a picture from 2024 look as if it's 80s or 90s. So we can't just say like, okay, cool, she's wearing matte makeup and spaghetti straps. It's 1993. We can't say that. We have to
yeah.
confirm.
Yeah, we have to confirm. So like, it's people like, there can be like a picture of a crowd and like people wearing masks, and they're like, oh, this happened in 9/11. It's like, no, that was not 9/11. It was
Says
2020.
who?
Like, yeah.
Says
So,
who?
so so it's just like very creepy where like people are going with. So I want to like I want to know more about archiving. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
better at archiving. I like see, and I have so much respect for people who archive because it's so hard.
It
Because I
is.
had started a page with like, because I love 80s horror movies, and like I don't even know if I still had the page up, but it was like me taking screenshots of like 80s movies and like uploading, and I would put like the movie and like the
Mm-hmm.
year that it was made. And I'm like, it was like really hard. Also, like, speaking of that, one time my one of my friends, I felt so good about this. Since everybody knows I'm obsessed with Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, she DM'd me and asked me what year that Frankenstein came out. And I'm like, that's such a weird question to ask somebody. And like, I knew the year Frankenstein came out in 1934.
Mm.
And I'm like, why would you need to know that? But I'm like, the fact that she asked me and not asked Google, I'm just like,
Right.
well,
Period.
yeah.
You're
And
subject matter expert.
her. So the last one is African slash Black American history.
Mm.
So I want to know more about like just all of us. Like,
Yeah, because
I
it's
am
so
so,
much. It's so
it's
much.
so much. It's so much. And also, like, seeing pictures, like, from, like, this is exactly why archiving is so important. Like, seeing pictures of, like, people, like, in Africa getting braids for, like,
Mm-hmm.
survival reasons
Mm-hmm.
and for, like, functional reasons. Like, how, like putting rice in your hair,
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like that, like seeing that and like seeing the year that it did, like that is so important. And also that also helps when you need to be backed up, where people are like, oh, why are y'all making a big deal about white people having braids and white people having dreads? And it's
There's a
because,
history. It's a
yeah, because of
historical context.
yes, historical context matters.
Mm-hmm.
You pulling articles from how there's black kids in schools. This happened in like what it'd be like 2009, black kids in schools being told to cut their locks off and like things like that. So like that kind of stuff matters. Historical context matters because you can always have like pull from that and saying this is why we have a problem with this because
Mm-hmm.
X, Y, and Z. And that's not the only reason why. I just want to
But
know.
it's just one of those things where you feel more empowered about the way
Yes,
things
very
are for you.
empowered.
There's a reason why we do things. I think that one thing I don't like with how folks treat black people, they act like there's no intention to anything about us. There's no purpose for us. Like there's no history. There's no like passion behind what we do. It's just for everybody to nip off of, like slavery. Like they literally try to colonize everything about us. So
Yep.
it's important when you have that history and you know, like, no, this is ours. It really is. And every culture gets something that's theirs.
Yes.
And we love it and we respect it. But for black people, for some reason, it's always for everybody to take a dip out of. And I feel like even like being with somebody who is from like Africa, who's from Ghana, like I learned so much, not only about like what's different about our upbringing, but about like, what's the same. And I learned about like a lot of things people try to put on Black Americans, like it's debunked. Like people try to make it like, okay, Black people and excellence, Black people and education don't go hand in hand. But when I realized like, okay, cool, like you come from a place where like education was super competitive, like very, 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 very competitive. It was everything. And I'm like, see, we do love school when school is safe. We
Yes.
do love school. We do love learning. We do love education. But like Black people do love this. And like you just start to learn like everything that was taught about you to make you really not love yourself was like I would say a good 95% of it is a lie. Like
Yeah.
a good 95% of it is a
It
lie.
is.
Even like imagery that we are shown of like the Caribbean, of Africa, and how people are all down bad, and they don't want to talk about how like people have like just ripped through Africa and ripped through the resources and put them in a place where they, the first African country was Ghana that was like, free from colonization. That was in the 60s. Okay.
That's so
like let's
recent.
not compare. Let's not compare, like a place like Africa that was under the power of like colonization to a place like maybe like China that has never been occupied, but that don't happen to other cultures. So
Yeah.
you're right. The more you learn, the more you're empowered, the more you start to stand firm and believe in yourself in a way,
That's very
amazing.
true. That's very true, and that's why I want to know, because I want to pass the knowledge on to my children. Like when I finally get kids, like I want to like keep this going. Like so I feel like it's very important to know. It's very, because like you said, people always feel like everything that Black people do is like it's no rhyme or reason of
Yeah.
why we do things. So which is not true, and
Not
also
true.
like a lot, like learning a lot of things that we do as Black people, American or not, is like a celebration. Like some things that people think is like, ooh, what's that? It's always like it's a celebration.
Yeah. A lot of
And
things are a celebration.
yeah, a lot of things that we do are like a celebration. So
Yeah. Oh, I feel like this gonna be that subject on like, Black intentionality. It should be a whole subject on its own
Yep.
one day. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep looking out the window. I got new neighbors. And I'm like, how many beds they moving in here? How many folks living in there? So I see 3 beds. I guess it's 3 people moving in. Yeah, that's why I'm a little, keep looking to the side. But for me, the first thing I'd like to learn more about is gardening. So
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that.
gardening has really lit something up in me that I didn't think could ever light up. Like I've always had like plants in almost all my apartments, but growing food, it has been such a wild ride. It's been something I can like take care of and nurture. There have been some scares. Like there have been some times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to lose my whole, all this work. I'm about to lose it. It's scorching hot. Like, what do I do? I've had to like problem solve and experiment. It's just made me feel like a scientist in the best way. And I love tinkering around with things and figuring out what works. And I've been looking up like vertical gardening and like all these different type of ways you can like garden. And like I have no intention, like when I was younger I used to say to myself, oh, it'd be nice to have a farm or to have a farmer's market. But for me it's like I don't even want to sell it. I want to give it away. Like that's it. Like I would really like to give away fresh vegetables, like just have like a food bank. I know a lot of organizations do that in the city, but I would love to be part of it. Like, 'cause it's just a really beautiful feeling to grow something and then give it to somebody. Like, it's just beautiful. So I want to, like, I kind of just accidentally grew a garden. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I put some seeds and some water. I watched a TikTok video. Boom. I got 10 tomatoes growing. So I got chives. I barely got string beans. I did not do a good job with those. I may have an eggplant. I may have some peppers. We'll see. But I just stumbled into growing a little garden and I'm like, okay, cool. There's so much to learn. Like this is a science. Like there's different types of soil, different types of water. And you never know with this world how you'll need to sort your food one day. So it's important to like just be able to go back to hunting and gathering and be able to do some things for yourself. Also, like I just want to start making more things from scratch. It's really exciting. It makes me
Yes.
feel like, very I was watching Bridgerton. It makes me feel like I'm there. Like if I'm making noodles from scratch, like it's definitely giving Bridgerton to me. It's
Period.
it's just cool. Like I just want to lean into that more. And also produce these days, two thumbs down. A
It
lot of
be
food.
so. I got a bag salad and I was like, what the hell is this? How is it brown when it gets to me?
Selling things spoiled. Like you'll open up some grapes and you're like, oh, in the middle they're rotten. Great. I just spent more money than I've ever spent on produce just for it to be shitty. It's just we're in bad times. People are selling shit right now. So it makes me feel good to be like, maybe I can source some of these things myself, like
Hmm.
peppers and tomatoes, like anything I can grow living in the zone that I live. Um, the next thing on my list is local politics. So I was blessed to see Stacey Abrams in person in April. It was amazing to see her in person. And one thing she said that really, really stuck with me is like people get so invested in the presidential election. They get so invested in the presidential election. But nothing is more important than your local politics
Yeah.
because that controls the education that your children get.
Hmm.
It controls like the taxes and which neighborhood gets the most funding. And I think largely I've never been taught how to be involved in local politics. Like I had a mom who kind of went to community meetings, but we didn't care who the council person was and who this congressperson was and who this state representative was. And I think there's a large group of people who are depending specifically on black people to
Hmm.
not know who these folks are so that they can
Yep.
have their way with us. And
Hmm.
I just want to be more involved. Like in the future, like I want to sit in on different like school district meetings and
Hmm.
be a voice in what's happening because that will impact me and mine way more than the presidential election. And that's just something that I now know that I've been neglecting and I need
Hmm.
to focus on that because it's like, ooh, the problem be in your backyard where you think the problem is in DC at the Capitol. Not
Yeah.
necessarily. So yes, of course, but also like our local living, our state living, like that's just as important.
Hmm.
Also want to know about more about investing. So I've been like tinkering around with investing, but like I don't know what I'm doing if we being for real. Like I get the basic concept of investing,
Yeah.
but I want to lean into like, some professionals actually helping me with like my investments and saving for the future because there was just one time I was just really, really down bad. I think it was in 2021 and I said to myself, I'll never be there again. And thankfully I have been doing a better job with saving, but I was once in this like in financial like not financial freedom. It was just talking about inequities between the wealth gap. It was talking about the
Yeah.
wealth gap and how like black people in this country just literally have less. That
Hmm.
is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
And it's because we are taught that we can save our way to financial freedom.
Yup.
We are taught that. We're taught that like, all right, if you
And
put
then we believe in it.
yeah, for real. Like, I mean, I know my parents definitely taught me just put your money away, put your money away. And that's not how you build wealth. It's not. You just having your money sitting in a savings account. No. Like, and I think that people who come from, more privilege understand that, no, you got to make your money go to work for you. But
Hmm.
I think for us, it's just so much distrust and putting our money somewhere we can't get it that it's like a tug and war and I just want to get better at that because I know that I just know better now, but like I don't know what to do. So I had been introduced. I went to the National Black MBA conference last year, and there were some black people who showed up from I think it was like Liberty Mutual, and they were just talking through like financial advisors and how they can help you
Hmm.
with your investment portfolio, and you talk to them about your goals. Like, what's your goals? You're saving for your children's college fund. What's your goals? You saving for business? You saving just because? How much do you want to have? And then they will help you. So I think like I'm gonna look through like benefits that my job offers and see if I can like do that. Also like
Yeah.
I have a 401k and I just have been told by my mom to have one. That's all. And my
Yeah.
mom
No, same.
Yeah, my mom knows a lot about 401ks because she used to work in finance, but I don't understand what she's telling me. I just
Yeah.
don't get it. So it's like I have one, but I'm like, could I be making this work for me more? Like, I would hate for 20 years to go by and this money is just sitting here, but like, could it have been building interest?
Yeah, and I
Instead
don't
of
even know how to
having,
access mine because I think I have that for my
that's
old
what I'm
job.
saying. You got to keep
So
track of all these different like 401ks and like I finally caught up to mine because it was a time where I didn't know where all mine were either. So it's like,
yeah,
say you have $200 in 20 years. Obviously, this is a gross underestimate of what you could have in your 401k if you are contributing for 20 years. But
yeah,
say you have $200 just saving. What if you could have had $800 if you did something differently? You may
yeah.
not care now, but like as I get older, I'm like, damn, I wish 21-year-old me would have did some shit to set up 31-year-old me better. And I'm like,
No,
again,
same.
living, learning, growing. You just want to change how you move for your future self. Like I just think about my future self almost as much as I think about my present self. Like I want to set her up. Like that girl deserves to be. If she's working the way I'm working, by the time she gets to 50, baby girl needs to be good. Like she needs
No,
to
for
be
real.
very much set and comfortable. And I love seeing like those 50-year-old women that's just sharp with their shit together. So I'm like, that's who I want to be, like big time. And then finally, I know this is a weird one, but I want to learn more about like leadership, specifically like how to be like a thought leader, like how to, I don't want to say like necessarily a CEO because you don't have to be a CEO to have a voice in like
Yeah.
all the different things that are happening in the world. Like I just want to know more about like how to move in ways that a good leader does move.
I was
Because
thinking about that too because that's what my position promotion is a lead. So
exactly.
I'm like, well, damn. I'm like, well, thinking about the things that I did to get here, and I'm like, I always like try to like even when people ask me like questions at work, I'm like always mindful of how I answer them and like try to be like, okay, I'm not being like, I don't want to sound like I'm telling somebody what to do, but I'm just
Right.
like, saying like, well, this is what I do in the situation, or being like, oh, like, would you mind, like, being mindful of like my language, my tone, my facial expressions, the timing of me saying it,
Mm-hmm.
like addressing everybody, not addressing just one person. Like I'm just trying to be like mindful of stuff like that. But yeah, that's something I
Exactly.
think about as well.
Yeah, like how am I posturing myself so that I am taken seriously in all the things that I want to do? Because as much as like you shouldn't have to check certain boxes to be taken seriously, come on, that's just human nature. Like think about who you trust and why you trust them. Think about who
Yeah.
you look up to and why you look up to them. It's probably because they have a way with their words. They're engaging. They know what they're talking about. They include everybody. Like it's just certain like it's certain traits that like I feel like I possess them, but I want to like own them,
Yes,
and that's
yes.
where I'm at. Like again, just growing in my career, and I'm meeting like some women on fire. Like that's what I think has inspired this. Like I will say, at my current company, I have met some of the baddest women that I have ever come across in my life. Of course, like I've met some amazing women, but these women are just smart as a whip. They're powerful. They know how to hold their own. They know what questions to ask, and they just have lit me up inside. I found so many like mentors and so many women who have like told me like you need to believe in yourself, you need to go forward, please continue to speak up, you ask great questions. And like just watching them, I want to take a little bit of them and of course me and like just like elevate myself. And there are some times where like I'm having like a fire meeting and I'm like, yeah, I'm a leader. And then there's sometimes I'm like tongue tied as fuck, I don't really know. I'm faking it till I make it. And I'm like, I really would have preferred to know how to go into this meeting correctly and strategically and just been a little bit more confident. Like not that it
Yeah.
didn't work, but like I want to know before I'm walk into a meeting, what am I looking for? What do I need from these people? And if I don't know, cancel this meeting. Like, what's the best information for me to get? Like, how can I make the best use of this space? Be productive, move things forward. Because not only is that important to my current job, that's important to this podcast, it's important to my livelihood and just who I want to be, like, and how I want to walk through this world. Because I think
Yeah.
the sky is the limit when you possess those skills. Like, the sky is really the limit when you know what the fuck you're talking about. and how to treat people and how to rally people. So that's important for me, to just learn how to be like a stronger leader, and most importantly, like a humble and compassionate leader. Like, I don't want that shit to get to my head, because it can do that to some people.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you shared. I don't know if you shared or you saw it as well, but it was like I don't know who posted it, but it was something that was like the difference between like a leader and a boss.
Yeah,
And it was like, and
I
I'm
don't
like,
want to be a boss.
yeah, exactly. There's such a difference. Like there's a huge difference, and I'm glad that we are like changing those languages and like changing those behaviors, and people are leaning in more into leadership than like being a boss, like or like manager. Like leadership is like so much important, because the leader is like the head of that's the captain of the ship, and like the captain of the ship is supposed to protect everybody on that ship. And I feel like that's what a leader does, is they protect, they listen, they guide.
Yeah, and they teach, they empower the people
empower
to be captains of their own ship one day. Like that's another thing. Like my dad is a great leader. My dad has been a construction worker for years, and the way my dad trained people, he trained them to take his job. He always give them unlimited information. He always asked people to do one thing, same thing he asked me. Are you doing your best? If you're doing your best, then that's all I need from you. But it better be your best. It's like, so I just really, I love a good coach, a good leader, somebody who wants to bring the best out of people, who wants to mentor, who can meet people where they are and then bring them up higher. Like, that's what a good leader is. And like, I just want to be that, like, in my life, because that's just important, especially as you get older. Like, who wants to be an old person, like an old loser? Or, sorry, do you want to be an old loser or an old leader? And like, I'm aging, and I'm like, I still want to always have impact. Like, even the way I talk to like the kids who are on my block, even when they're doing something bad, like they running through the street, I'm always like, I know you having fun, and I know it's summertime and it's fun to run, but please be careful in these streets. I could be old and say, look, they ain't got no sense, blah blah blah, but it's like, do you want to actually help, or do you just want to talk
who
shit?
Respects that?
Who respects that? Yeah,
nobody.
So, wow, wonderful Fave 4. Wonderful Fave 4. So, let's get into Toast for a Sis. If I could just very quickly, this is off the script, I just want to give a toast to friend of the show, Yasmin. Like, we took a walk on Friday.
Toast to you, girlie.
Toast, she gave some phenomenal feedback on the show, and she just was really like there for me when I needed to do a quick little walk. Like, you ever just not know, like, have no plans, and somebody's like, hey yo, you want a link? And I'm like, absolutely, like, let me follow up, like, let me link with her, and it really lifted my mood. So sending a toast and a big thank you to our friend of the show, Jasmine.
Yes, toast to you, girlie.
Yes, and the next toast is for small business owners. Shout out to y'all, because I know that shit is not easy. Entrepreneurs, small business owners, like, especially the ones who have other jobs, like full-time jobs to bring in the bacon, and then they hustling on the side.
That is not easy at all.
And like, easy.
I've not recently, but like since the dawn of Instagram, I have been following like small business owners, but like I'm happy that I'm getting like an influx of them, like shown like who you want to follow or whatever, because I'm like, yes, like no big businesses, like I want to follow these people. And I like started following this girl. I don't know her. I'll post her name. Don't know her name offhand, but she makes claw clips, like hair, like claw clips, and like professional claw clips. And she said a story where how last year she had $100 in her account and just was living on a dream. And she started doing, she made a claw clip like in the shape of a wisdom tooth, and she tagged it like dental, like dental hygienist something. And not everybody, but a lot of people in dentistry like was like buying her claw clips. Yeah. And so she started making more professional claw clips. Like she got one that looks like a gear, like for engineers. She got a calculator, like claw clip, like so all this like cute, like all these cute things. And so she made earrings of the wisdom tooth. And like now she's doing well. And like that is so exciting to hear, like inspiring for a small business owner, especially in this economy, especially when the algorithm is not in the favor of like smaller businesses, especially when there's like stuff like Prime Day going on. Like it's so important to support small business owners, and that's why, like, I that's one of the reasons why I had wanted to be like, whoa, no, with like fast fashion, because a lot of fast fashion steals from small business owners, and like a lot of like the stuff that they make is so high quality, and I'm like, how are they doing this on their own? Like, this is just
It's
wild
incredible.
to me,
It's
and I'm just like,
incredible.
it is incredible. So like, shout outs to them. Shout outs to the small business owners. We see you. Keep doing your thing.
Period.
Purr.
Period. All right, so let's get into this tea time. All right, so again, we said there would be a theme for the show. We're talking through misinformation, and you know how rather talking about misinformation, we're talking about an information crisis. We're talking about a society where we have more information, we have access to more information than ever before. We don't have to work that hard to get it. It's not like back in the day where you gotta go to a special library and then you gotta
crack open a thesaurus. Maybe
crack
y'all
open
should.
a thesaurus. But I felt like back then the information was more contained. And
Yes.
like, you know, in order to get into a library, you had to meet certain criteria. You know, it had certain things had to happen, certain fact checks had to happen, and more importantly, people had to make an effort to get this information. Also, you know, misinformation spread it that way because it was only accessible to certain people. Some people weren't able to read. Like there was a literacy crisis, especially among folks of color. So there are pros or cons, but I will say that this explosion of information, yes, it can lead to some beautiful conversations. I learned so. I don't think I'd be vegan without, of course, the bread and the internet. I don't think that I would be into sustainability without the internet. It's just so much, but it's also because, you know, this is where going to college helped me. They always talked about citing your sources.
Yes,
Like,
that's
when you
yes. I think about that every day.
cite your sources, and let me
Yes.
tell you what a source is and what a source isn't. Now, this work started in high school, but like it was drilled in my butt in college because
Yeah, they
there
did not
weren't-
play that shit. Because where you
if
get that
your-
from?
Yeah, if your site wasn't from like an academic, like, you know, source, then it was not a site. Like it wasn't a resource. You know,
Yeah.
you can't go on Google and just get any resource unless it's from .gov, like .gov.
Yeah,
The
you be on
CDC.
page 5, like not just page 1 of Google. You had to be like page 5 or 10.
Yeah, or like logging into special like libraries that you got permission to log into through your
Yeah.
school. But I feel like citing your sources has always made me be like, I can sniff out like a reliable source versus an unreliable source. But you know, people who've gained that skill, gained that information, I think they can use the internet in a different way. But we also know that like not every person, especially in the US, even knows what that means or cares what it means. People these days, in my opinion, are interested in pushing an agenda. That's what they're interested in. They're interested in a narrative.
Or what's the most salacious like
Yeah,
thing?
or what makes me feel the smartest because I have
Yeah.
a different angle on something that everybody else has the same angle on. How can I have a think piece even if I haven't thought about this piece? Like, how can I make sure that like what I'm saying how do I feel important? And I don't give a fuck about the harm that this causes anybody because
Exactly.
a lot of people are strong and wrong. A lot of people are a little bit off, but the internet and the audience could really empower the wrong people. And like we all have different stances on who's right, who's wrong. But in my opinion, who's wrong is somebody who's just making shit up. Who's just like, you literally just putting stuff out there. You have no proof. You just think that's what happened. And we all think something. And like, if you're going to say, look, in my opinion, I don't know nothing, but this is what, in my twisted mind, this is what I had. Like, make sure you say those things. People do not do that. Like,
They don't.
sometimes I'll look under certain social media posts and you'll see people like somebody had a baby by somebody and they'll be so invested. They'll be like, yo, ain't nothing happened, but they got together at the BET after party. They slept together and she ended up pregnant. How the fuck would you know that?
How would you know? Like,
You
and be
don't
so,
know shit.
They be so like, have this person said, like, you know,
Yeah.
like, have they made a statement about it? And like, there are times when, and this is again where comprehension, I'm sorry, comes a part to play. Because some people cannot like there's some information that we know where you don't have to have like said facts, or like the person has to like say, like for instance, Iman was saying earlier off the mic. So we don't have any like concrete proof like how we did with Rihanna that Chris Brown was abusive to Karuchi. Like there's no like pictures or anything, like whatever. She didn't really talk about it, but we know. Like,
and she said some things. Like
she said something alluding
to it. She got a pretty long restraining order.
Exactly,
like,
the restraining order. Like those are context clues that you could put together and say, okay, this person is. It was not a one-off thing. This person is an abuser. Like it is safe to say that this is what this person does.
And for that reason, I distrust him.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Obviously, I wasn't there, and I don't know the case. But because I am a woman, and because I have to protect myself,
yes,
I would prefer to believe what I've seen.
Yeah. So there's people who are like saying like, well, how y'all don't know, like you don't, like there was no like statement put out, there was no, but I'm like, the fact that you need a statement to be put out to believe something like that, like you're not comprehending, like your comprehension is off. And people think that comprehension is, oh, I read this paragraph and like I know what I read in the paragraph, but it's like, okay, you can recite what you said in the paragraph, but what did you read in that? What did it say? So comprehension is not just
I read it.
I read it.
Did you take away the original intention?
Exactly, and it's like situational. Comprehension is not just like, it's not just in a book. It's like body language, like what people's past history and things like that. Like for instance, we know that Biden, I cannot confirm, but there's something going on that seems like Alzheimer's.
We know that the man mumbles.
He's 80. He mumbles. He just
looks disoriented.
He looks disoriented.
He called his VP Vice President Trump.
Yeah, but people in the comments, he took the vaccine. Oh.
How did we get here?
How did we get here? This man is, if you look, the age for Alzheimer's, all that losing your memory is literally like prime age for that. This has been going on before the COVID vaccine. Yeah. Have you ever talked to an 80-year-old person?
Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy because my grandma is in her 80s and she in tip top.
She had the vaccine and she can recall everything.
Yeah. She know how much everybody.
Maybe
how much
she recalls too
got.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if the vaccine could have took a little bit of her memory away, it would have been like perfect. But no, she knows everything, every gate. She know every dollar that she has. She know every dollar that you have. Like she knows everything. So I'm like, she don't to talk about. It's just where are we going here? Or even like with the Donald Trump thing we were talking about with the shooting. Like somebody in CNN's comments was like, yeah, but y'all not reporting that it was an Asian guy who did it. And I was like, the reason why CNN probably isn't reporting who did it because they probably don't fucking know yet. And that's what a news source does. They pause until not only it's like a framework for like making sure that this is a solid source because they could get taken down. Like if you're a news source and you say the wrong thing, you lose credibility. You can lose money through a lawsuit.
Because that's why TMZ, I don't really fuck with them because they reported that Lil Wayne had died. He didn't.
Yep. And you know what's so funny? TMZ is like usually on point with everything.
They are.
But when they did that, I was like, and the thing about journalism, like journalists take that shit very, very, very seriously. Yeah. Being wrong is not oopsies. It's like, this is a stain on my career. So you have to make sure you know who tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Right? The person who's running for president. Before you just put a picture out there. You can't just say that. And the fact that somebody's like, they're not putting a picture out because they're Asian, that wasn't true. Number one, we've learned that.
And were you there?
That wasn't true. And let me just remind you, these comments were being made about 4 hours after the shooting has happened. I know we're in 2024 and we think that we're supposed to have information the second it happens. But we also, some of us who actually work and we step outside, we know 4 hours ain't shit. That is not enough time to resolve an emergency.
It's
By the
really
time,
not. Emergency can go on for 4 hours.
yeah, I'm about to say, at 4 hours, you finally got everybody on a call that you needed to call. You've contacted everyone by the end of 4 hours. So it's just not only are people like misinformed about like just how to check resources, they're misinformed about processes and like how things actually work. And I think it's because a lot of people have been doing like whatever job they've been doing and they don't really know that like, okay, there are processes for how things work, for when people could say information. There's a such thing. Now, if CNN had said anything 24 hours later, if they weren't providing constant updates, then you could say, why are you not sharing about this thing regardless of who he is? This is world news, like you need to share it, but that's not the case. So I just feel like people have this audacity. They walk around with these chips on their shoulder, and we all have like, things where we feel like it ain't fair in the world. Like as a black woman, I always feel like somebody is probably going to be mistreating me because I'm a black woman, but I can't go to that constantly. I can't say when I don't get a job, I ain't get it because I'm black. I can't say that constantly. I can't say, anytime somebody was rude to me, they were rude to me because I'm black. They might have just been rude to me because they were rude to me. Yes, I have a chip on my shoulder, but that's not everybody else's business, know, and I can't now form narratives based on that. You have to separate like what's going on with you versus what's actually happening.
Yeah, and also it's funny that you brought that up because there was a guy who, I think I sent you the article. He applied to a job with his name, his traditionally African American name. Then he put a name that sound more white, and he got the job. Same like resume, but this place has a history of being racist.
Right.
So it's like when it comes to that, it's like, okay, he has the facts. He did the research, and there's proof to back it up that like these people have done like things like that.
Exactly. And now he's suing, and as he should. As he should. But to your point you were making earlier, when people are so like in the vicious like cycle of misinformation, in a way they can try to rewrite history.
Yeah, it's very scary. Like it is so scary because like, and it's annoying. Like I'll see like people talking about stuff that I remember like as a teenager, as a kid, and they're trying to like reroute it, and I'm like, that is not true. Like that is not like what happened. Like,
yeah, I'm actually trying to look up something that actually happened. It was crazy. It was like a politician. Hold on.
Like, it's really, truly insane that people are trying to write history in that way. Even with like with fashion and like with what was I gonna say, like body image. Like people are trying to do that. I'm like, literally, it was illegal to be fat when I was a kid. Like literally borderline illegal to be fat when I was a kid and like a teenager, and even in college. It literally just started to be, it was a small window where it was like, oh, it's okay. Like it literally just started being okay to show that you have cellulite on line.
The internet, yeah.
It's literally,
even when you show it, everyone's like, "You're so brave." It's like,
yeah, like that literally, and it's still not really legal, in a way. But this literally is like just started happening.
Yeah, it's like cutting
so
edge.
So when people be like, "Oh, like," when people try to be like, "Oh, everybody always loved thicker," no, that's not
a certain group of black people always, or and maybe like Latin people always love thick people, thick women, but that's like they weren't getting booked for the lead actress. They weren't getting like they weren't the it girl in the campaign. Like these opportunities and not taking the back seat to slim people have just started and are barely there, and are regressing. But they've just been afforded to like plus size people, and it's like. we're not even going to get on the fact that like we just started giving plus size people some shine, and then now we're taking it away. We just talked about that last week. Now it's like actually, Bella Hadid, you're front and center. Everybody else like skedaddle. But actually, what I was going to talk about is how, like, as far as rewriting history, this came out like last year, 2023. Like, Florida, their Board of Education were saying that the slavery was pretty much like an unpaid internship. And they were saying that, like, slaves perform trades and learn skills. And pretty much they learned about like cotton, rice, sugar cane, agricultural work. So pretty much slavery helped the people who were stolen from like, their home countries forced. And I'm like, do you see how people can twist even something that for years I thought we all were universally ashamed of? Like this, like that was supposed to be the story as a country. Like, we are universally ashamed of slavery. It should not have happened. But people.
They're doing a book ban there. They're banning
so many books. And so like this is a complete information crisis, because the more we have to talk about what slavery was, the more we have to talk about the impacts of slavery, and the more we have to fix it. So if we make it as if slavery actually wasn't that bad, then neither are the after effects of slavery. It's just like, come on, pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
I'm not working that hard. That's why it's so important to continue to read outside of school and cite sources. Like, for instance, and this is something that I have learned recently, because in school they made it seem like Rosa Parks was just somebody who just was tired. That's what they told us. She was tired. She just sat down. She was a trained activist. Yeah. Like, she did that purposely. Mm-hmm. She was a trained activist. So I'm like, things like that, like, they always, again, going back to what we were saying earlier, like with like people making it seem like everything we do is just like not purposeful, like rhyme or reason, we ain't got no sense, like whatever. But I'm like, things like that is like to make it seem like, even if she was tired, though, they still shouldn't have did what they did. But like, she was a trained activist, and like when you don't know stuff like that, educated and things like that, you don't know how, like, when you want to go into activism, you're like, oh shoot, like, how do I do this? Like, you can't pull from that archive and see like, oh, what Rosa Parks did, that was activism. People don't understand that activism has to be organized. Like, you have to have a plan. You have to go into things with a plan A.
You can't center yourself.
Yeah.
You have to center, like, of course you have to protect yourself, right? Who's going to do that better than you? But you have to center, like, the purpose. You have to center the community. Like, and I think that we have, like, I think that activism has become a bit decentralized. Like, folks are not necessarily... Not all people. I think that there's a lot of conversations and we're moving back. But I think people tend to be like, I'm about to start something. Don't start something. Join something.
Exactly.
Don't start nothing. Join something.
Exactly. And you have to be calculated. Like, you have to be calculated. So, like, if you don't educate yourself on these things, like, no matter how passionate you are, it's not going to work. Like, the reason why, the things that the Black Panthers did worked, and, like, we're still reaping the benefit of those things, is because they were hella organized and hella educated. They were super educated.
Focus and purpose.
Yes.
They had focus and purpose, and even that is misinformation about how, they're portrayed in the media almost as if they're terrorists. And I'm like, terrorists were feeding the community?
Yes.
Oh, they armed themselves because they were historians, and they knew that if we don't protect ourselves, because we're doing something great, like they did MLK, like they did Medgar Evers, like they did Malcolm X, if they don't like us, they'll take us out. Yeah. Rather it be our own op within our own community, or rather it be somebody that's like, like within the Ku Klux Klan or hate group or police officer, same thing. But like rather, they had learned and they became more powerful because of that. So it's just, we have to do the same thing. And also, Another thing that I think that is kind of related to the information crisis, like be prepared to make decisions and feel isolated after you make them.
Yeah.
I think it's very important these days to use the information to guide your decision making. Don't use what the person in front of you is actually saying if it doesn't align to the information
Yep.
you have fact checked and you know is real, because you are not stupid. You are not dumb, and you know what you're talking about. Especially if you are somebody who is a person of color. Especially if you're somebody who is like thin presenting. If you're different in any way from what society expects, people are going to try to make you feel stupid constantly. People are do not always have your best interest in mind, especially as it relates to your health and your money. So it's like, back yourself up with information, be prepared to be the bad guy, and don't stop drilling. Like, I've had to do that with the doctor so many times, and each time, like, I feel so alone, I feel so isolated. Just for when we finally get full circle, I realize, like, see, I'm thankful I stood up for myself, because look at where we would have been had I not. Same thing at work. I'm thankful, you know, it's a struggle for me, but I'm like, no, I have this information, I know what I know, and I'm not going to like back up because they could be misinformed. Why do I assume I'm always wrong? There's like a very thin line between being humble and then letting people run over you. So it's like, just know, like, have the discernment to know when you should consider what people are saying and when you know what you know.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if you have done the research.
If you've done the research, like,
Cited your sources.
like valid sources. Very valid sources.
Valid sources, because it is very easy to get swept up in like sources that are not valid. Like, I've definitely seen it. And you have to be mindful that there are websites who are like parody websites, and like you just have to look at like, just look around at everything. You can't just say, oh, this is correct. Like, for instance, oh my god, there was this lady on TikTok saying that she was Elon Musk's nanny, and that his mom took her into a portal somewhere, and there were like creatures in the portal and stuff like that. Okay, let's back up. You know that Elon Musk is not a good person. He's not,
and we know he may even have a portal. Like, I feel like
he might have a portal.
if it were anybody else, I'd be like, a portal. But with him, I'm like, go on. Let me just continue to listen. Like, maybe
He has a portal.
Let's listen.
But
He has a portal, but that don't mean she been in it. Like, I feel like he 100% has one. So
yeah, but this lady, she was talking on TikTok, and I'm like, have y'all ever like been waiting for the bus and just talk? Somebody is just like rambling on to you about something. I'm like, obviously y'all never have, because I listened to the TikTok and I'm like, this is not valid. Like,
it's
this
because
person,
people want to
what they're saying,
believe shitty things about Elon Musk because he's hateable and like.
But my thing is,
valid.
why not? The thing is, it's valid. Y'all want to believe that there's aliens, there's a portal in his house, and Nanny was taken in there. And I'm like, he literally is a white South African. Like, he is literally a,
there's enough truth
that
to
is
hate him
enough.
for.
He's literally
yeah.
that is.
Look at what he's trying to do to Twitter. Like, look at what he's trying to do.
Literally.
So it's like, if you want to hate somebody, let's focus on the truth. There's enough
truth,
information.
the concrete proof that we have there. Like, y'all want to, so y'all have to believe that there's aliens and witchcraft involved. Like,
and
to
here,
be
now
like,
this is when we start to lose people. Like, we start rallying. It's like now, like, the crazies have come out.
Exactly. Oh my god, and that's another thing. So everybody know Megan Thee Stallion's song is in Japanese. Somebody on TikTok on something that don't sit right with me. Like, I think this is the devil's like something. It don't sit. It's literally Japanese.
I know they was black. They was black, weren't they?
Unfortunately,
black people think everything is the devil except for Hennessy. The shit that really be taking down our community.
Shrimp Alfredo.
Shrimp Alfredo, like
that is demonic.
Cholesterol, high cholesterol. You know, high A1C. Like they don't want to go toe to toe with that. But speaking Japanese, it's like, you know how ignorant you are, and it's like also there be a lot of like what's that thing called when you're afraid of foreigners? The fear of
xenophobia.
It's a lot of xenophobia in the black community sometimes.
Yeah,
and I'm like, now your black ass out of all people do not need to be making nobody feel uncomfortable. Like, you really don't. Like, nobody accepts our ways. Like, how are you going to do that to somebody else? But it's just like, oh yeah, you know, our ways are the best. And it's like,
It's really not. And also, like, there's a Japanese rapper on the song. Like, you could look it up and be like,
That song don't sit right with me. Like, huh? Like, girl, stop watching Eve's Bayou because you,
yeah,
you get a little
because
too
it's
jittery.
just so you have to like filter out things like that, and also it's a connection to when you read, you realize that black people, like, Christianity was brought to black people, and black people were like anything bad, you know, was said to be like the devil because we were
Yeah.
brainwashed by white Christians, and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff is it's a part of colonization. Like, people
Yeah.
like us believing everything is like the devil, or like just like I'm just like, white supremacy has really did a number on you when you think about that. And I'm like, and if you
It really
read,
has.
you will understand why you are so fearful of these new things. Like, that is literally a white supremacist thing to say, that a foreign language is of the devil. That is
It really
literally
is. It's so and like the way even white supremacy has like taken over Christianity. Like I actually was just
yeah.
learning on TikTok about how like of course Jesus would have been like historically born in like the Syrian mountains essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So like think about that. Islam and Christianity and Judaism, they have been going at it for a very, 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 very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Christianity technically originally belonged to like brown people. And so
Yeah.
to see how like, like maybe like the Church of England's influence was on like colonization, and to see how it still has such a deep hold on like folks in different regions of Africa,
Mm-hmm.
how it has a deep hold on like Black Americans. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Christianity. I'm like, y'all, Christianity has a splash of white supremacy in there. It was
Yes.
put in place to keep you in order. And like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't challenge that, it's not
And
that
the
you're
fear
challenging
is, like,
God.
based-
You're not
Yes.
challenging God. You're challenging human rules. Like, but people don't
Mm-hmm.
see it that way, and that's just really, really unfortunate. All religion, you need to challenge the human fingerprints on that,
Mm-hmm.
not the. Don't ever challenge your higher power, because like I already know asking a religious person to do that is like no, nobody's ever going
Yeah.
to do that who's truly religious. But your religion is often delivered to you
Mm-hmm.
by another human, and you just have to think through that. So yeah, again, information crisis. I want to say one more story before we wrap. So this has been on my mind for so long. There is this one vegan woman that I follow on Instagram. Like I told Sabria, I don't like follow her whole philosophy on eating because like she's one of them people who just eat watermelon and potatoes all day and cucumbers. And I'm like, the way I would pass out by noon if I ate like that. Like, but it works for her. And she do be having some little good recipes, like some good smoothie recipes. I'm like, I cannot eat like this. I can't drink smoothies all day. But
Hell
it's
no.
really nice that her recipes like green smoothies, and she's influenced me. Like I bought a papaya today because of her. I've been
Period.
chopping up more watermelon because of her. So I just take what I can. Anyway, like her child is vegan and eats the same diet as her, but her child seems to be just like a little quieter than the average child. There's never any videos of her like walking or anything. Maybe, of something going on developmentally, whatever the case. That's not anybody's business what's going on with her child, but people in the comments are always like, your child always looks tired and weak. Is it because of that vegan diet? I think your child should be walking. They should have different milestones. And I'm like, who on earth told you that eating plants and fruits would delay a child's like development? Like, why do you think that it's okay to come on this woman's post and just like, go in on her
And
her
how can you
baby?
see a milestone in a reel?
Yeah, and I also feel like the baby be yawning. It's like, I think she just got up and her mom just does the reels like first thing in the morning, like here's what she's eating. She's always happy and smiling, but it also sucks because it's like, y'all don't know what this baby is going through. Like there could be something genetic going on. There
Yeah.
could be, there are plenty of babies who don't reach their milestones at the time that other babies do because they're different, and that doesn't have, most of them are not vegan. And like to just put that guilt on a mom because you personally people personally hate vegans. They hate when folks raise their kids vegan.
And
They just have this belief that you
people
need
who are
meat.
disciplined. Yeah.
They
vegan is
really
disciplining.
think you need meat. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not eating meat, if you're not eating dairy, like, you're missing something. Despite the fact that we know, like, we don't always need those things, or we can get them from other places. But
Yeah.
it's just like the hatred for this one thing outweighs the curiosity to look it up, to figure out, like, is this right? Is this wrong? And it's
also,
just
can
another
your kids
example.
read? Can your kids read?
Exactly. Your kid is probably eating, like, what's that red chemical name?
A red 40?
Yeah, your kids are probably like consuming like 60% red 40 every day. Yet you're worried about a kid that's eating papaya and celery. Like, that to me, I'm like, that culturally around the world, do you know that's what a lot of kids eat all day? Like,
Yeah, they love fruit, and like they love fruit, but then y'all introduce them to like the processed food. And they're like,
like,
oh, I like this too.
this baby's always eating like a bean dip with, like, some
That
type of
sounds good as
pasta
hell.
and bread and like some type of like little air fried zucchini thing. Like, it's a bunch of different foods, but they always have something to say. I'm like, meanwhile, there's like a food insecurity crisis in the U.S. that nobody's just passionate about. There's a lot of kids that are lethargic because they don't have any food.
Yeah, and like you're so right about people not want to look it up, because even like day to day, people are like, well, what do you eat? Like, I'm like, look it up. Also,
not that
like,
hard.
I hate to compare myself to a gorilla, but gorillas are literally vegan. Like, and they're like the strong. They will literally rip you apart with their bare hands.
Exactly. You can be like, and also I think I'm proof that you don't gotta be slim to be vegan. Like,
Period.
because if you did,
Same.
I wouldn't. Hello.
Same.
So, but yeah, y'all, that's it. Like,
Read
the
a
whole point
damn
is
book.
Read an article.
Read
a
an
book.
article in full too.
Sit in a lecture. Like, there's so much good information out
Watch
here.
a damn TED Talk. Watch a video essay.
Try.
Watch the video essay. I watched a video essay on Alexander McQueen last year. And now I'm like, I need to read something about McQueen. Yeah. I'm like, read, like, don't, because literally this is how, like, okay, an example. I did not read, so I got a new credit card, and I was like, all right, I'm going to pay my credit card in full. I'm going to put a butt fuck load of money on it. I'm going to pay it off in full. Paid it off in full. I'm like, okay, I paid it off. It came out of my account. It's not posted a transaction. I call the credit card company. I'm like, hey, I paid my credit card. The money's out of my account. I see it on the credit card statement, but it's not posted. The guy, he literally is just going by his script. He's like, yes, it takes 2 weeks to process. It's in the, what the fuck did he say? He's like, it's like in the whatever.
Pretty much.
Yeah. He's telling me like it was in, like, you're supposed to read that shit. It said it takes 2 weeks to post. Yeah. But it was just weird to me because I paid it before, but I didn't put that much money on it. I paid it before and I had the money earlier. But maybe it did take 2 weeks and I didn't notice. But yeah, so I didn't read that. I didn't read the fine print. And so now I had to wait 2 weeks to have access to that money.
And it can happen to all of us. We're busy, but the thing is, don't spread misinformation.
Exactly.
Correct yourself when you know, especially with the big things. Like, okay, that only affected you, but you don't go online now and telling people it only takes 24 hours. Like, you don't know that, so you don't share that. Just, it's okay to not know, and it's also okay to be a forever student. So, like, let's all just commit to learning and doing the best that we can. That's all. Please. No shaming. So yes, y'all, that is it for this week's show. Make sure you follow us on the socials. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Imam Matei. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Matei. And Sabria?
You can follow me at FrankenFem_ on Twitter, and It's FrankenFem on TikTok and Instagram.
Also, you can follow us on Black Girl Brunch on Instagram, BLK Girl Brunch on Twitter, Black Girl Brunch on TikTok, and don't forget to email us at blackgirlbrunch@gmail.com. And y'all, that's it for this week's show. It's a wrap. Bye.
Peace.